Hello everybody, it's Oak Tree Tarot Reader here and welcome to my pick a card video. So this video is in regards to your person of interest and how they felt about you when you first met and how they feel about you now. Then versus now. So I've set out 3 different readings. We've got number 1, which is the garden, number 2, which is the dog, and number 3, which is the key. So I want you to get your person of interest clear in your mind. It doesn't matter who they are and what relationship they have to you. It doesn't matter. Just get them clear in your mind. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Relax. And then ask yourself the question, how was it then and how is it now? How did they feel about you then? How do they feel about you now? And when you're ready, make your choice. Don't doubt yourself, don't overthink it, just trust your gut instinct, your first choice. If you need a bit of time to do that, then please press pause, and when you're ready, click on the timestamp provided. Okay, those of you that chose the first one, the garden, this is your reading. What I'm going to do is I've got one card as the initial, their gut instinct the moment they saw you, or their feelings or thoughts on it. And then I've got other cards that I'm going to continue the reading with and shuffle on camera. So the moment they saw you, or the moment you first met and you had the chance to talk, however it was that's happened for you, what were their feelings, their thoughts, their instinct? And we've got stolen in her sleep, unaware, unconscious, unawakened. So this tells me that when you first met, they felt that I think for some of you that you didn't notice them at all. You were oblivious to their attention, or you didn't regard that, it was just sort of, hi, here's my friend, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay, bye. You didn't really notice them. They were in the background. And for others of you, they recognise that they didn't really notice you when you first met, that maybe that you weren't very high on their radar. And that sometimes happens, that we don't really notice each other and see each other very deeply on our first meeting. And that's what I get the feeling here, is that either both of you or one or other of you just didn't notice the other person. Maybe they noticed you while you were hanging out with friends, but you just didn't notice them. Or it's more about how they felt. So I'm more inclined, that some of you, they felt, why aren't they noticing me? Oh, it's unawakened. It's all in potential. I've got to get their attention. And for others of you, they're looking back and I think that first instinct was that they just didn't register you. There's also a possibility that for some of you that they noticed their feelings was that you were someone who was unawakened, that you were unaware of yourself, of your skills, of your abilities, that you had undiscovered talents, or you didn't realise how beautiful that you are or how handsome you are. Yeah, it's they liked what they saw. Yeah, I think for a lot of you didn't notice them because they were like victory, success. They liked what they saw, that this was a triumph. This is something that they wanted, either to meet you specifically or meet someone like you. But they couldn't come forward and say what they thought. I think for a lot of you, this is a case where they noticed you, but they didn't come and say anything. They were like, wow, they're amazing, but they didn't have the courage to come up and introduce themselves or take the conversation further if it was just an introduction. And there's a feeling that that you are an adventure, that you are something different, that you are something unique, and that there was a desire there. I think this feels like more of definitely an attraction. If you're thinking about somebody that you've worked with or business, like your boss or something, you are like their perfect candidate that doesn't realise how much potential that they have, and they haven't really come forward and said that because they want you to perhaps go through this journey naturally and organically on your own. But also that they felt taking you on was a bit of a risk, a bit of an adventure, that you could be a bit of a wild card, that you are, again, there's this feeling that you're at the beginning of everything, that there's a big adventure there, and there will be lots of communication. Yeah, they felt, when they met you, what they felt in that initial meeting was an instinctive understanding that there was a connection between the two of you, and that you were a partner, a love partner, or a great colleague, or a great friend, that there was a compatibility there, they felt a kindred spirit, a kindred soul connection between the two of you, a recognition between the two of you that goes deeper and would be an in-depth connection. It's not like, I wouldn't say love at first sight, but what I would say is that there was a connection at first sight. It's like a soulmate connection, but not necessarily a romantic one. These could be like your best friend forever, or if you believe in such things, twin flames, as well as soulmates. And I think for those of you where, actually we are partners, we are going out together, they did find you very attractive, and they did instinctively understand that there's more to this relationship. There's a lot of potential in this relationship. The Six of Wands, it's like, woohoo, this is the sort of person that I've been waiting for. And I would say you made a great impression on them, that it's almost like they couldn't believe their luck that someone like you came along. I'm just intrigued by this stolen inner sleep. There's just this feeling that for all the great feelings that this person had about you and that you've inspired in them, that they couldn't really get your attention. Or you weren't ready maybe for them. Maybe you weren't ready to pursue a connection with them. Maybe you needed a bit more time. Maybe some of you have been in a relationship before and they were worried about being on the rebound. Or maybe you were distracted by doing something else. You just weren't available to them to communicate with. But they immediately liked the look of you. They felt a connection. They felt an affinity with you that, could grow into love. And obviously it's gone somewhere because there's a now after the then. So that's what we're going to look at next. I'll make some space and get rid of these. They felt great potential when you first met each other. I mean, the Two of Cups speaks to me really highly, that you connected. I don't know whether you felt it or if you were worried that they hadn't felt it. They did feel it. Yeah. So how do they feel about you now? Light the darkness. Ancestors, ancestral line, generational shift. They feel they know you an awful lot more. And I think there's a feeling here that there is like, it makes me think, if you believe in past lives, I think that they've shared a past life with you, if you're both into that. But I think this generational shift speaks to me that their initial sort of burst of attraction, of recognition, of excitement and so on has deepened and changed and developed, and we shall look further at the cards to see in what direction that's developed. But this is about the ancestral line, about creating a family, a tree, a link. I think they feel much more established in their connection with you. They feel much more that this connection has deepened and changed and matured, as all relationships do, as they all should. That one fell out. So, how do they feel about you now? Yeah, they really fit. This is sort of a developing energy, I would say, is the King of Wands, is that they feel very confident about you, warm-hearted, established. There's this feeling that this is a much more established connection. The feelings, whatever they are, whatever the connection is, they're much more comfortable now than they were at the very beginning. You know, it's moved from not being noticed to perhaps being noticed, or certainly being comfortable with wherever your relationship is. There's like an acceptance over it. They do have completely different feelings about you than that initial burst. And that's not to say that they've gone worse, you know, like they had such high hopes in the future that there was like this connection, this desire between the two of you, an attraction. It's just that it's changed, it's deepened, I would say. It's judgment, it's about hearing the call and changing. So as your connections deepen, changed, adapted as times change, they have moved with it. So it's rejuvenated. Maybe there's been points where they've not wanted to have anything to do with you, and then they've sort of been had the second wind or got past that phase in the relationship. Because now they're very emotionally satisfied. They're very content with the way things are. All their needs are being met. They're well fed. They've got all the cups behind them. You know, he's in no place of want. So they're content with this connection. They're happy. How do they feel about you? They're happy with the way things are. I mean, if you're not happy with the way things are, that's a different question. But at the moment, they don't feel in it. I think they feel very secure in what's going on. And that the changes that the connection has wrought between the two of you has made them better, made both of you better. I mean, some of you might, you know, be married to this person and have kids, and they feel that they have established their family tree, that they've taken care of the next generation, or you're in the process of raising your children. There's just general happiness here. So I do feel I want to reassure you that there's no unhappiness here. They still feel good about you. They still, you know, have passion and happiness for you. You know, if this was a marriage, I'd say it was a good marriage, because it was one that's going to adapt and change, yeah. It's allowed them to control certain things within themselves that are perhaps quite negative. So how do you make them feel to this day, you know? Okay, so you make them feel fair and balanced, that everything's in place, that everything's the way it should be. That what they give freely, but not as a detriment to themselves, and that you never take from them more than they can give. Everything's, fair, balanced and equal. That there's enough wealth in this connection that they can afford to be generous without losing anything serious of not a serious value. Like you can't give completely of yourself in any relationship. You always must have a bit of you that's you. You can't be completely subsumed by any kind of job, marriage, child, being a parent, or being a child, with your parents. You can't allow one thing to dominate all aspects of your life and be in service to that one thing, really. So they feel in this connection that they can give to it and enjoy it and be happy, but they don't have to sacrifice everything about themselves in it. So, they can still be themselves while still giving to you. And I would hope it's the same way for you. But they also... you make them feel like a champion, because this is the 5 of Wands, which is normally like the competition card. It's about being in the throe of competition with your peers, sort of going for the job, looking, trying to get an interview and playing a sport, and everybody's equally matched on the playing field, but somebody has to stand out. Well, you make them feel like they stand out above the crowd. So I would say this is where that 9 of Cups comes from, is you make them feel fabulous. You make them feel like... There's that feeling when we had the 6 of Wands when you first met them. You still make them feel like a winner. Like that you would choose them above all others. That, it doesn't matter how unique they are, that you still love them and still want them. There's complete satisfaction, I think, from beginning to end in this relationship. From the moment they saw you, they thought, wow, how can I get this person to notice me? They got you to notice them. And they're very happy with the way things are. And they're happy with the way things are changing between you. They've seen a lot of inner development in this connection, and they're happy with that. Yeah. This is sweet. This is actually really quite sweet. You make them feel good. And I think you make them feel as well like they're a bit of a hero, that they're somebody who does good things, acts of charity. You make them feel a bit of a hero. And again, there was that feeling of that before, that you made them feel, like the 6 of Wands, which is the victory parade, the hero coming back to applause and, from the public. You made them feel quite fab, and that hasn't ended. I think that's wonderful. It's really sweet. I hope you're happy with that reading. I'm going to leave it there because this is quite clear cut. They had good feelings about you when they first saw you. I feel that's a first saw you reading, and they still do. I feel this is a bit of a longer relationship, or at least there's a lot happened in the short relationship if it is a short one. So that's your reading. I hope you enjoyed it, those of you that chose the garden. I wish you well, whatever this connection is. Please leave me any comments or messages on how it resonated with you, if it did or it didn't. Please take very good care of yourself. Or check the description box if you want to contact me about anything. But otherwise, I shall leave you with your reading and say goodbye. Okay, those of you that chose number 2, the dog card, this is your reading. So we're going to start off with what they sort of felt, thought, instinctively understood the moment they saw you, and then we'll look at, or the moment they met you, and then we'll look at now. So when they first saw or got the chance to speak to you, how did they feel? Ooh, fairy lovers, new love, courtship, romance, falling in love. That sort of explains it. I think it is a bit of a straight away, this is my girlfriend or boyfriend. This is the person I want to be with. There was an instinctive, instantaneous attraction. Some of you, it could have been love at first sight. But there was certainly a case of I want to be with that person. So that's... It might be a bit of a quick reading. Sometimes readings come through exceptionally quickly. They just come clear cut because the person involved, you, or doesn't have very complicated feelings about it. It's just they're quite straight. Yeah. They're just not messing about, and I feel this might be one. Ooh. So with that feeling that, oh gosh, they're gorgeous, I think I'm in love, or this could be the one, this could be the sort of, this could go quite far, this attraction, this desire, this new love. Mixed with that, I'm going to say, is a fair sense of disbelief that it's happened. So I think actually they rejected it. This might be a very practical person who sort of doesn't believe in love at first sight, but yet in a way experienced it, or at least felt such an instant desire to be in a romance with you that they sort of rejected it, because we've got the Two of Swords, which is like making a choice. They're sort of like, this can't be true. I can't, should I walk away from this? And the Three of Swords, that they felt very burdened by the feelings. They sort of, the Three of Swords to me is about controlling your emotions. It's normally the heart with the Three Swords in, and a lot of people say heartbreak. I don't. I say it's feelings like courage, actually. But it's also about whatever feelings are going on, whether you're really emotional and you're overexcited, and and you calm yourself down. You're getting too excited. You need to control yourself. Or when you're really, really frightened and you're like, you're going to jump out of this plane. I know you're scared, but it's a charity parachute jump, and you're going to do it. It's that kind of feeling of controlling your emotions through your brain, head over heart. And I get there's that feeling that they felt this emotional abundance. It was just the Empress moment. It's just I feel their hearts flourished, but they didn't want to feel that way. Why? Depends on your connection to them and what's going on in your lives. But there's this absolute feeling that it's not right, that it's like, no, I'm not the sort of person that has this sort of instant flourishing of emotions. And so they tried to suppress it. So how did you make them feel? I mean, I think we've already done this, but what did they think about you? Is that they thought that this is... I think they thought that you were abundant. Let's cover that as well. I do feel that this is all still true, that they're trying to hide it, but what did they think about it? That you're so abundant, that you're the Empress, that you've got everything, that life would be fertile, that you are a fertile person. That doesn't necessarily mean literally in that they could get you pregnant. It could be that you are an intellectually vibrant person, that you have lots of ideas, that you're very creative, or that you're very prolific in another way. Maybe you're a hard worker, for instance. And again, there's this feeling that you're keeping something secret or keeping control of your emotions in the process of trying to make a decision that you can't make. But how did you make them feel? I do still think that you made them feel like that. That screamed out at me first before looking at what they thought about you. You made them feel alive, vibrant, warm-hearted, the centre of attention, you know, the queen bee. And you also, this is interesting, I might clarify this, because it's that hard work made them feel like hard work, which is weird. Ah, yeah. So you made them feel that they had a lot of work to do in regards to controlling themselves. I'm getting the same message of what I was saying. It's saying the same thing. You made them feel on fire, but God, they had to work hard to keep that controlled. I think they didn't want you to know how very deeply they were attracted to you and how very much they wanted you in this initial first meeting or just seeing you for the first time. I think they just looked at you and thought, what a goddess, or a god, you know, how wonderful are you, you know, and I can't let them know how fab they are. Why? Again, it depends. Let me know in the comment section. This is a person that exerts an awful lot of self-control. Maybe they didn't want to appear vulnerable in front of you because there's just an awful lot about maybe emotionally vulnerable. Maybe they don't like to let other people know their feelings too soon. Hopefully maybe this has changed and they're a bit more willing to open up to you. But there's just this vibe throughout the whole of it is that they really liked you, but they did not want that to come through. So let's look to see if things have improved. Follow me. Come, this is your invitation to enter the realm of fairy. Because I mean, that leads me to think, are you actually with this person? Because how do they feel about you? They want to follow you. They want to invite you into their world, or they want you to invite them into your world. They want a connection with you. Because if you were already with them, there wouldn't be any need to follow, would there? Because it would automatically be assumed that you'd be together. Seven of Cups. Options, choices. What do they think about you now? Ooh. Yeah, I don't think that you're together with this person. Just have a sip of water. I think, what do they think about you now? They try not to think about you. They spent a lot of time sort of in silent contemplation, but they don't want to do that anymore. And everything's being put into their subconscious, or everything's in their subconscious and they're trying to get rid of it, I would say, for some of you. But I think they're just suppressing whatever this connection is. If whatever attraction they've got for you, they're not letting loose. So the Three of Swords and the Strength won out. They've hidden their desires. They've hidden their attraction for you. They're letting it stay dormant and they're not allowing it to be breathed into life. I'm wondering now whether they already have someone and they can't. So you know, these things happen, that you get committed in a marriage. People get married. They very much love their partner, but they meet somebody who they really fancy. This is normal human behaviour. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But the majority of people choose to ignore the attraction for the other person and reject it and stick with the person they married. And I think this is what, for some of you, this is what's happening. They're choosing the other person or the other situation. Maybe it's not a good time for them to be with you. And so they're like, no, I can't do that at the moment, because they're hoarding their thoughts and their feelings within themselves. They're pouring away the emotions. The moon is a subconscious, you know, so it's only something that's, you know, they don't share this knowledge. It's just tucked within. And again, the Four of Pentacles, it's the hoarding card. It's a conservation, you know. He's keeping his pentacles firmly in his grasp where no one else can get hold of them. So I think there's still a little bit of thoughts there. They're still thinking about you a bit, but not in the same way. They've successfully suppressed whatever it was that sparked between you. And I think a lot of you already know that. Yeah, they still like you. They still feel good about you. This is the independent woman that's sort of going it alone. She's, all of her needs are being met. So I think they feel detached from you, I'm going to say, but also, yeah, they're sort of overcoming the attraction. This is quite sad in a way, because you obviously still think of them, but I think what they're doing is defeating their feelings for you. This is what leads me to think that they've already got someone else, or although there's an attraction there, there's also a deep incompatibility. I didn't want to end on this, even that, you know, I sort of wanted to do what's the future for this connection. And we've got the Eight of Swords. So I think that, you know, he's cutting away the bonds and he's going to lead her out. I think the situation's going to resolve itself. And I think probably somebody else is going to lead you out of this confusion about this person, that maybe you'll meet someone else. Or maybe they themselves will be able to help you get over them or this situation. I think ultimately you'll forget about them and move on. Okay, so what I was asking was, why did they decide to not pursue the attraction? This is partly my own curiosity, but it hopefully will help some of the others of you. And we got the Four of Swords and the Hierophant. Well, that does speak to me. Is they're already taken. The marriage card for me, or the following of rules, is that, by, you know, this liking you is not something that they should do. And because they needed a rest from something. That's what intrigued me. That's why I went for the second card, and then it made a lot more sense. Is their attraction to you symbolised something else that they needed a break from. And we've got the Hierophant, which is that they had to conform to something else. They were either married, or maybe they were committing themselves to something, like a set of studies, or they were following a different set of rules, or a set of rules that you were going to contradict. In a way, they couldn't take the distraction of you. And that's why they're sort of not thinking about it. And I think this, what's the future hold for this connection, what's the potential, is that you will understand, I think, why this has happened. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be together, I'm afraid. For the majority of you in this connection, is that you're not going to... It's not for now. It doesn't mean that it never will be, but I think that you will see why they've made the decisions that they have. And there's the burden of it, but you'll eventually drop the staffs. You'll eventually be released from the bonds and sort of move on from... whatever's going on between the two of you, this attraction, to move on from it, because they do believe that you're happy, that you're successful, and as much as they would, I think, like to invite you into their lives, or for you to invite them into yours, there's a belief here that it can't happen. The Hierophant also speaks to me of like community rules, like when you have a religion, or you have a holy book that tells you and gives you food for thought on how to live following your religion. And it doesn't have to be religious, by the way. It could be just a set of rules in society. Like maybe you don't, like come from the same area, or you don't want to actually live the same sort of life. Maybe there's like class differences between you, or cultural differences that seem insurmountable. But I'm leaning towards a lot of you, they're already taken, and so they don't want to be the sort of person that betrays their spouse or their partner, whoever they are, whatever their connection. And I think that this is going to become clear to you in the future why this has happened. So, I mean, long term, who knows how it will turn out. But I think what you should look forward to is understanding why this has happened, and sort of being able to let it go. Sort of give it away to the universe. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not meant to be, there's no point tormenting yourself. You might as well choose to be happy. So I'm going to leave you there with that reading. Let me know in the comments if it's helped, so on and so forth. I wish you all the best of luck for the future. Please take very good care of yourself. Thank you for listening to me, and goodbye. Okay, those of you that chose number 3, the key. I like the way that rhymes. This is your reading. So this is a card. We're going to lift this over first, and then I'll shuffle based on what we see here with some more, another deck of cards. But it's what they felt, or what they thought, what they experienced when they first saw you or met you, because they might have been seeing without meeting. It happens. So what happened for them? Green Man's Door, Portals to Fairy, Wheel of the Year, Galactic and Gaian entry points. This speaks to me as the moment they saw you or met you, they knew that you were going to lead to a different sort of life. You were a different sort of person, and it was just going to be different with you. You were different, and it was all going to make it different. It wasn't going to follow the usual set of rules. You were going to take them to a new place because you're a different sort of person. Maybe you have different hobbies. Maybe you're a different personality type. Maybe they're really outgoing and the life and soul of the party, and you're a bit of a wallflower. Or the other way around. maybe they're massively into sports and you're a serious comic nut. You know, you love your Marvel and DC, or you're a homebody and they can't wait to go travelling to the next place. Whatever it is, you are different. One for that. Right, let's see. So what did they think? Oh, Queen of Wands, yeah. The Horned One. King of Pentacles, wow. What did they think when they first met? What did they think about you? Is what I'm thinking. Is that you are vibrant. So I think you're more the go-getter than the wallflower. They thought you were vibrant, life and soul of the party, warm-hearted, generous, bold, attractive. You got their attention. You stood out to them straight away. This is the Devil card, so I'm going to say that what they thought about you is that you were sexy, that you were raw, that you are not primitive, but I think you're in touch. You know, brought out primitive feelings in them, but also I think they recognised that you were going to bring change, which is that, you know, again with that Greenman's door, that you were going to change things for them, that you were something different. I think also that they looked at you and thought that you were not somebody that was going to ever be stale as a person. You were always going to be alive and ever changing. But also, they thought that you are also incredibly stable. So I quite like this. That you, for all your vibrancy and the way that you've garnered their attention and the way that I think that you understand human nature as well. There's this feeling that you're in touch with your primitive side, your animalistic side, that you're comfortable with, I think, who you are as a person, and that you are comfortable, I want to say, with uncertainty. But you're also incredibly stable, and I think it's because you have that grounding of understanding of who you are. It makes you incredibly stable. I think you're also actually weirdly very practical, and I say weirdly because they're not normally compatible. Well, not many people come up with the Queen of Wands and the King of Pentacles as what they think about, you know. It makes you come across as somebody who's sensible, practical, trustworthy, reliable, a provider. Could be financially, but also provider of security, and security comes in many forms, don't forget that. But that you have a great deal of wisdom and maturity about you. You don't come across as juvenile. You do, in fact, come across as quite like an old soul, quite mature and highly developed, quite sophisticated. You sound wonderful. Do you know these two want to come out? I only wanted one, but two insisted on coming out. How did you make them feel? And Queen of Pentacles, it doesn't matter who you are, who they are. There's a compatibility there. You made them feel compatible. They think of you as the King of Pentacles, but you made them feel like the Queen of Pentacles, like your match. That you made them feel that they could also provide and nurture and care and be secure and be practical and grounded. You made them feel compatible, that you were a match energetically. Same type of people on a level. But you also made them feel sort of suspended. It's a hanged man of unable to progress further with this. Whether that's because your first meeting wasn't conducive to taking it any further. But I think there's a sort of suspension of proceedings. Like there was nothing more. There's no more left to, no further to go, because this is about feelings that the feelings are suspended. So I want to say there's a certain feeling of surprise, shock, but not like alarm or anything like that. There's just sort of a feeling like, oh, and it sort of stops there, because we've also got the Queen of Swords. So I think that you made them feel like there was something to say, something to be untruthful. The Queen of Swords is always an honest woman. Sometimes she's too blunt and uncaring of feelings, but she's a very honest woman without frills. She will just cut straight to the chase. She's not going to mess around. So you made them feel like honest, that there was little point in messing about. The time was for honesty and clarity and truth. And maybe that couldn't come out just yet. Maybe they couldn't come out and say these things, but you certainly made an impact on them, that there was going to be something different. And I don't think they wanted to say straight away to you that they noticed that there was something different about you, that maybe you have a different way of thinking. Maybe you're quite an original, well, you come across to me as quite an original person anyway. Even if you think you're boring and stable and staid, to them, you are an original. Maybe they just haven't met anyone like you before. And I think they would like to say that, but they felt that they couldn't, that things had to be sort of stop the way they are. That I always want to say is that I bet you they didn't tell you any of this for quite some time, if you know at all, or they didn't talk to you for quite some time after that initial first meeting. Despite the fact that they have really good feelings about you, I think that they probably just didn't really come and say anything, but they really felt like your match. I'm intrigued. Let's move on. What do they feel now? Ooh, dragon's pet. Communication between species, animals, pets, magical companions, guardianship. So what do they feel now is this feels like you're their pet or they are your pet. They feel that there's a good companionship between the two of you, but again, there's this communication with species. I think that they're no closer to understanding the true you than they necessarily were the first time you met. I'm a little bit concerned about this feeling about being a magical companion and pet. I think they are enamoured of you. They think that you're this little magical being that that they have to look out for, weirdly. Let's see what else the cards have to say. They have good feelings about you. What do they think about you? So that you have good feelings. What do they think about you? We'll do feelings afterwards, but what do they think about you? That this, I got this feeling before. You got the Queen of Wands, you got the King of Pentacles, now you've got the King of Cups. They really think that you have a lot of intelligence, that you are very emotionally intelligent, that you really understand people and feelings and motivations for things, that you're fair but balanced and equal. You have emotional intelligence in that you can understand people's emotions, but also empathy. But the wisdom to understand when it's important and when it's not, and to they still think as well of you as the day that they first knew of your existence. They also think of you as a complete success. They just think well of you. They think that you're the bee's knees, that you are deserving of every ounce of praise you get and every victory dance that you get to dance. And they think that you're the Empress, so They think you're beautiful, vibrant, abundant. You've really progressed in their estimation. They think only more of you, not less. They really think that you can turn your hand to anything, that you are beautiful, that you are, and it can be inner beauty as well as, or instead of outer beauty, it doesn't matter. That you're really capable of creating and of growing and maturing, and you have. That you're just full of abundance, like the Earth Mother. So they think that you're great, that you can do anything and everything. They just think more of you now than they did when they first met. I'm going to see what the rest says, but I'm so intrigued by that dragon's pet. I want to see a bit more. King of Pentacles again. So what are their feelings about you? How, how do you make them feel? And I think there's this feeling that you're still inaccessible in some way, and I think that's possibly now clarifies for me is what do they, feel about you now, is that they don't feel that they're on your level or that you accept them in the way that they would like. Because I think that the traveller, the Page of Wands, is a traveller going out to adventure, to discover the future and discover their passions and to do exciting things. So you make them feel that life's exciting and that you're doing exciting things together, but that you're taking them along for the ride. They feel pleased and victorious that you have chosen them, but again they feel that they're not the leader, you're the leader. But equally they now feel that, let me articulate this. They've progressed from the King to the Queen of Pentacles, so they do feel much more on your level, but you make them feel now that you do rely on them in some sense, that you do need their security, their abundance, their finances, that you do need them to provide something in this connection, even if it's companionship and devotion and a bit of protection, because when we have pets, we take care of them, we love them, but they're reliant on us to make sure they're fed, taken care of, protected, taking them to the vets when they're ill, paying for all their medical treatment and making sure they have the food they need. There's a recognition there that you rely on them in some level. So I think they regard it that you keep them as the pet, but for some of you it might be the other way around. But they certainly feel lucky to be around you and they think very, very highly of you. Being around you makes them feel like they're on an adventure and that you're just brilliant. It's almost like they can't believe their luck. But there's just, this feeling that falling. I'm going to have to lean. Falling, all the cards. Yeah, I think the connection isn't exactly the way that they would like it to be. They feel at times it's a lot of hard work. Maybe if this is just a friendship or something and they'd like romance, they're like, oh, I wish we could be dating. And they're possibly, you know, that it's hard work for them because they would like to be in a relationship with you, but they can't be because maybe you don't see them that way. Or there's something about this connection that makes them feel sad and grieving, that it isn't just what they want necessarily, but at times it feels like it's a long, hard slog for them. And it's possibly because they think you're so wonderful, but there's this feeling that they're the pet. Even though they feel lucky to be around you and that it's an adventure and they're developing as a person being with you, there's still this feeling that they're not quite getting everything that's possible for them. That doesn't mean that you are obliged to be with them if you don't want to, but there's a feeling there that, you know, like if they want to, let's say they want to get married and have kids and you don't want to get married and have kids or get married and have kids with them. If they want to get married and have kids, you know, you can't ever provide that for them. So there's that feeling that it's a long, hard slog being with you when their ultimate aim is something else maybe, or their ultimate aim is to convince you to get married and have kids, or to move to another country, or to lead a different lifestyle, who knows. But how do they view this connection between the two of you? That sometimes it makes them sad and that it's hard work. And if that makes you feel sad, you've got to look at why it's hard work between the two of you and what you can do to improve that for both of you, because they really, really do like you. So I'm going to leave that there because that's your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, please take very good care of yourself and your person of interest. Thank you very much for listening to me, and goodbye.